Nick, good morning to you. You've done this once before. At what point, maybe it has already, does this start to sink into you that you are an all-star?
I think once you get here, it's when it kind of really sinks in. Before that, you're playing all the time. You have practices. Things are always happening, so you don't really have time to think about it or reflect on it. So once I got here, and you see everything that's going on, even though this year is a little, different, obviously because of all the protocols. You still see all the other players, the NBA, all the all-star signs and everything, and so you definitely realize how big it is to be part of this, and it's a huge honor, like I said before. So, and also, obviously, once the game starts and all the events start, I think you get even more aware of everything when you get to be on the court with all the other best players in the NBA.
Dan Savage, OrlandoMagic.com.
Fuch, prior to being selected as an all-star, you mentioned that in some ways being selected for a second time might be more special than your first nomination. Now that you've had some time to reflect on it, how special is it to be considered a multiple-time all-star?
It's very special. No, it's very difficult to make the all-star team. There's only 12 players that make it every year, and there's always way more people that deserve with the way they're playing. So, something I'm very proud of, and also especially to be selected by the coaches. They're like I said, they're the one that, see me play. They're the one that, prepare for when they play the Magic, they prepare against me and things, so they know what I bring to the team and what I bring on the court. And so just very rewarding to be selected by them. But I think, when you make it multiple times, it's something where people can, just take it away from you and say, oh, it was a one-time thing here, one great year happened. Now it's like you kind of, cement that you belong there, that you belong with the best players in the league. So it's special, and then hopefully it's not the last one.
Dan, do you have a follow-up?
Sure. Vuce, normally we're there following you around through all aspects of the weekend. Just how different is this one, since the moment of your arrival?
It's obviously very different. I mean, in Charlotte, you get there and it's, just crazy everywhere. There's so many things going on in the hotel, outside the hotel, in the city. There's just so many events you attend, and it's just so much energy to where now it's just like, everything is, well, I mean, we don't even know how it is in the city, but, in the hotel is all, just, you just go down and get tested if you want to get some food, and that's about it. And it's not the same energy that it usually is. And that's, that's unfortunate, because this is such a great event. I mean, you bring all, 24 best players in the world, one place, and then you have, all the other people involved that come here, and there's just that energy that, it's there. That's what makes this event so special. So it's unfortunate, but I think that, it's still great that there will be a game, that there will be, the skills dunk contest and 3-point contest. And I think fans around the world will enjoy that. But obviously we as players wish that it was a whole weekend thing where, you can attend events, you can do all the things they'd like to do. And also, you can bring your people here to be with you and spend time with them, to where this year, that was much more limited.
Roy Perry, Orlando Sentinel.
Morning, Vuce. Just to follow up on that a little bit, I know that the protocols and traveling is a little riskier this year. I'm just curious to know if any of your family was able to come with you, and if so, who, and sort of what does that mean to have family there to watch?
Yeah, so none of my family is here. My parents, they're back in Europe. Because of COVID situation, it's a little bit more difficult to get visas right now. So my mom's visa expired, so she wasn't able to renew it and come here. So that's a little unfortunate. But as far as my wife and kids, they didn't make it here because it's a one-day thing. My wife is very, very strict with my kids' sleep, so she didn't want to mess them up. And my older son, his bedtime is 8:00, so the game doesn't start at 10, so he'd be very, very grumpy. So we decided it was best that he stays home. And so I have two of my best friends that came here. Actually, one is from LA and one lives in Virginia. So they came they checked all the protocols and they were able to make it here safely. And so it was good for me to see them, because I haven't seen them in a while either.
Christos Saltis, Sport DNA Greece.
Hello, Vuce. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I would like to ask you, it was a dream came true for you to be an all-star. How you live it, especially this season for you, and how important, what it means to represent your country in this big stage?
It is a dream come true for me to make it. I mean, especially the first time once I made it. This time it just like I said, it kind of cements. But it wasn't just a nice of me being there the first time. And it's a big honor also to represent your country here, on one of the biggest stages in the world. Especially Montenegro being such a small country, and I think I'm the first one ever from Montenegro to make it. So it's a big honor.
Shlomo Sprung, Forbes.
Hey, Nikola, congratulations on being named an all-star for the second time. Now that you kind of have some time away from the team for, a few days, what are your thoughts on kind of the overall direction of this Magic organization in the short and the long term?
Well, in the short term is a little difficult for us because we just have so many injuries and we're not at full strength. So, it's hard to really judge our season because, first we start a season without, Isaac, who's a big part of what we do. And then we lose Markel Fultz for the whole year as well. So that's two, starting players for us who are very important and who we plan to have here for a long time. So it's very, it's difficult when you have to play like that. And then also throughout the season, we lost so many players through injuries for extended period of time. So we were never at full strength, we're hanging in there. We're a few games out of the playoffs, but I think we're hoping that we can get healthy and with the players that we have, we can make a push to make the playoffs. But obviously, it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy with the everything going on and how where we are right now. But that's our short-term goal. Try to make the playoffs and at least make something happen of this season. I think that'll still be good for us. As far as long term, I mean, once we get those young players back, Markel and Isaac, I think that our team will look much different. Like I said, they're very, very important players for us. And I think that, obviously there'll be a huge boost, but, again, there are some guys whose contracts are expiring, so we'll see what happens with them. So, but our hope is that with the young pieces that we have, we can build something for the future. But, you never know in this league, things always happen. So we'll have to see.
Rob Parks, 48minutes.com.
Hey, Roots, congrats again. I know we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. You've been grinding all season. Do you feel a sort of validation? And then how does this drive you? How does it motivate you and your teammates moving forward to make that playoff push?
I mean, it motivates me a lot. I mean, just every time I've achieved like a big milestone, for me, it really was just extra motivation to kind of keep going and, have more of them. I mean, people always talk how, winning is, is how you say it, not catchy, but it's can't find a word. But I mean, when you win and when good things happen to you, you want it to, keep happening to you and you want, to continue to do that once you get a feel for that. So for me, like, when I made the first All-Star, it was extra motivation to continue. And then, this time again, then, last year when I played well, playoffs, all those things that add up for me was kind of, I got to this level now. I want to keep going and, even go higher. So it's same for me. And I think for the team as well, we've been in the playoffs last 2 seasons. And for us, it's important to continue that. I mean, obviously our goal coming to this year was hopefully that we can get out of the first round. Now that, we lost, some people for the year, we understand that, that might not be as easy. I mean, you never know, but, we have to be realistic that for us, even just making it plus, I think this year would be a big success.
Peter Tadic, Sputnik.com in Serbia.
Ćao Nikola, veliki pozdrav iz Beograda. Ovo ti je
Ćao.
drugo učešće na All-Staru. Dončiću takođe, a Jokiću je treće. I to je sve u poslednje 3 godine, da kažemo. Vi ste nekad između sebe pričali šta bi bilo kada biste se takmičili pod jednom zastavom. I večeras bi nekog trash toka s obzirom da igrate u
Izvini, prekidaš, ja nisam čuo pola pitanja.
Ništa, ovo prvo pitanje je i ovih prostora, a je niz godina staru, da li ste možda pričali o tome šta bi bilo kada biste se pod jednom zastavom, kakav bi to tim bio da igrate pod jednom zastavom?
Pa, mislim, sigurno bi to, bila bi to ozbiljna ekipa, naravno, ali mislim, nije to realno da se desi, naravno, ali mislim, sigurno o čemu mi više pričamo o tome kako je odlično za košarku sa naših prostora, da toliko igrača sad igra u NBA-u, da toliko igrača koji su ovdje imaju značajne uloge i također su među boljim igračima u NBA-u, mislim, Jokić koji je kandidat za MVP-a, Dončić također, ja sam na All-Staru i svi ostali igrači koji imaju značajne uloge, to je, mislim, velika motivacija za mlade tamo i dokaz da možeš da uspiješ i da možeš da stigneš i ti do samog vrha, tako da s te strane mi je mnogo drago zbog toga, uvijek mi je drago kad se nađemo ovako, kad se okupimo na neko veliko takmičenje, neko veliko mjesto svi zajedno i pričaš o tome, ipak je to velika stvar. Mislim, ako je danas drugačije dosta za čitav svijet da dođu do NBA, su vrata NBA mnogo otvorenija, ipak je to i dalje nije lako uraditi i većina igrača su iz Amerike, ali sigurno to je nešto po čega smo veoma ponosni i trudimo se da predstavljamo svoje države na najbolji mogući način.
Leonardo Torres, El Comercio.
Hi, Nikola. It's Leonardo Torres from Peru. Nikola, 2 questions. The first one, do you feel that the NBA does not respect you as it should? And the second one, what does it mean to you to be in the All-Star this year?
No, I think that the NBA definitely respects me, as much as they should. I think like I've said before, the players, around the league, I know I have a lot of respect from them and the coaches as well. I know you see it when I play or when I just, talk to them or the way they talk about me. So you see that on the court when you play also, how much attention and things I get. So that for me, that was never an issue. People to ask me just because I'm not as much in the media and stuff like that, but that's just, play for a small market team or we haven't had as much, necessarily success, in the playoffs or we haven't been much on national TV, but those are things I don't necessarily, care for much. What's more to me is that my teammates respect me, the people I work with every day, and then, other, people around the league that really know how to become a basketball, and I know they do. So that's to me most important. And, making the second All-Star, huge honor for me, something I'm very proud of. It's like I always say, it's very difficult to make. So very proud of this, and hopefully there'll be more.
Philip Rossman Reich, Orlando Magic Daily.
Hey, Vuce, congratulations again. This may be a question better saved for the offseason, but your game evolved with the 3-point shot this year to get you back to this point. It's obviously still a very competitive league for these spots, but where do you see your game evolving next? What's the next phase for you?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, to me, I think I can always improve in all areas of my game, and so. I did focus a little bit more on like my 3-point shot because I saw how much it could really help me, how much it could open up for me. But when I go into an off season, I kind of always just want to work on everything. I think obviously one of my best qualities is that I'm a very versatile player. I can do many different things for my position. And so just try to work on all of those. And I know I don't have to recreate myself or add something crazy to my game, but I think if I just continue to improve on everything that I do and I think it's just that will help me. And so I think last couple of years obviously one of the big focus was the 3-point shot, to just get very confident with that because that was a pretty big change for me. But other than that, I mean, the rest is just sticking to what I do well, improving on those things, keep working on my body. And I always say I think one of the biggest changes for me that happened is not as much a skill of mine necessarily, is more the mental aspect, the experience that I've gathered over all these years. My approach to the game, I think, I've matured as a person as well, and that also transferred on the court. So I think the addition of all those things, is what helped me improve. And so, like I said in a couple of questions earlier, when I achieve certain milestones, it motivates me. So now when I made a second All-Star, my motivation is to keep going and, achieve other things, so it's just all those things together, it's kind of, I think, what will help me continue to get better as the year goes on.
Okay, everyone, we have less than 5 minutes remaining, just so you know. Next question goes to Uros Josevic, from Serbia.
Hi, Vuc. How do you look at the influence of players from the former Yugoslavia on the league in this moment? And in Serbian, šta misliš da je ključna razlika i neka zajednička osobina tebe, Jokića, Dončića i svih igrača sa naših prostora koji igraju u NBA ligi? Po čemu se izdvajate po nekoj zajedničkoj karakteristici?
Zdravo. So the influence, well, I think the influence from the players from Yugoslavia is really big now. I mean, obviously with Luka and Jokic, there's some of the best two, maybe in the top 10 best players in the NBA. And so when you look at that, it's very impressive. It's never done before. Their impact on their team, on the league is amazing. I mean, they're both in MVP talks. They're both starters for the All-Stars, and that's amazing to see. And they're so young. I mean, Luka is 21, I think. Jokic is 25, so that's very, very young. So they're, they have their whole career in front of them. So it's amazing to see. And I think, also, you keep going, all the other players that have big roles for their teams. Myself, Bogdanovic from the Hawks, Bogdanovic from Utah, all those guys. I think Dragic with the Heat. I think kids back in, like Yugoslavia, they look up to us for sure, and I think it's a big motivation for all of them, and for us to continue and be good role models. Drugog dio pitanja, šta imamo zajedničko? Ne znam, svi smo mi opet na neki način, jako smo, da kažem, iz jugoslovenske škole, svi igramo neki svoj način, malo smo drugačiji igrači. Znam, mislim, obično, naravno, dosta naše igre se svodi na tehniku i na košarkaško znanje, što i moramo da radimo da bi nadoknadili možda te neki manjak fizikale što imamo. Ali mislim da što se isto desilo je način na koji košarka se razvijala i kako se igra danas u odnosu na prije 10 godina odgovara dosta nama, ima dosta prostora za igru, igra se dosta više, dosta se brže igra se, dosta šuta, dosta prostora i to je nama više odgovara. A ako se tiče nekih naših sličnih kvaliteta, mislim, teško odrediti, svi imamo neke svoje kvalitete koje nas čine najboljim igračima na svijetu.
James Hill, BNC Sports.
Vuce, congratulations on all your success. Can you talk about continuing to work hard, bring your lunch pail, and you're actually cementing your legacy? What's it like to be an all-star and to continue to grind and work hard and be recognized on the globe worldwide?
To me, it's just extra motivation. I think, the more recognition you get, the more you achieve things, at least me, drives me to continue to do that. Just, shows that, hard work, does pay off, and that it's also the only way to achieve things. So, to me, I think also as I've gotten older, as I've, understood some things, started understanding some things better, I understood that, the more work I put in, the more committed I am, the bigger the reward is. And so it's shown for me. And I think the last couple years where, we've been able to make the playoffs, I've been able to be an all-star a couple of times. It just made the message even more clear for me. So I think, I'm at a stage in my career where now, I want to have, a lot of success and enjoy it. And so that's what drives me.
Vuce, how special is it to represent the Orlando Magic brand during the All-Star?
It's very special. Obviously, I know that I'm not just representing myself here or in general when I play. Always representing the team that we play for and the organization. And so it's very special for me to be able to do it a second time now.
Dan White, LA Times.
Hey, Nikola. I apologize if you've been asked this already, but what were you doing last year around March 11th when kind of everything stopped? And what do you remember about, I guess, that week leading up to it when kind of the new rules changed in terms of, how people were able to interact, and then sort of when the test came out in Oklahoma City and everything kind of stopped?
Yes, I remember it very well. Actually, I just was talking about it with my wife and some other people because, the date is obviously approaching. So we had like a 4-game road trip before that, and we actually were playing great basketball. I think we won all 4 games or 3 out of 4 or something. But there was all this talks about, the COVID and all these new protocols, even with the media and things we can do and cannot do. And I mean, in all honesty, none of us really knew what was going on and how serious this was. And, most of us were, taking it lightly because we just didn't know. And, we laughed at some of the protocols and you just didn't know. So, you thought it was just us, it's nothing, whatever, it just, media has blown it up and just get. And then, I think it was it March 11 when the playing stoppage happened. I was just sitting at home. My wife and I were sitting at home. And I think we were ready to put our son to bed or something. And, I see that, the Oklahoma City game, Utah, something's going on, but you don't really know what's going on, the information. Then you get texts from people that, know a little bit more about it. And like, hey, I heard there's a positive test. You guys are going to get shut down. It's going to, you're not going to play. And I didn't believe it. I think like, no way, the NBA shuts down. I mean, that would never happen until, it's a catastrophe somewhere. And I'm 10 minutes later, next thing you know, the NBA comes out, just, playing stoppage. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So you're just like, okay, well, what do we do now? What's going on? Like, is this thing that serious? And then, it was just kind of, waiting and seeing because I think it wasn't just us, it was the whole world. We really didn't know how serious this thing was. And then, as, country started lockdown and everything, everywhere in the world was locked down, you understand, okay, this is very serious thing. So then, obviously that's your main focus. You don't even really think about basketball as much. It was more, okay, let me do what I can to keep my family safe and others around me. But it was definitely a big shock for all of us because in March, you're so used to playing and it's like, okay, last push to, finish the season off well. And all of a sudden it's like just nothing. So it was definitely, shock to all of us. But I also think that once the NBA did that, it also raised a lot of awareness for others regarding COVID and people, especially us players, we definitely started taking it more seriously.
Thanks, Serge.
No problem.
Okay, we'll go two more. Paul Casanova, EDF Sports.
How you doing, Butch? This is your second time All-Star. You've been in the league for quite a while now, but as a fan going to the game, are there still players that you get kind of in awe at or like to watch?
I mean, of course, yeah. I mean, one of the best parts of this job is that you get to compete against, the best players in the world. And, you want to beat them and you want to, outplay them. But sometimes when they do certain things, you have to be in awe. I mean, it's not an awe to where you kind of like, oh, I can't do nothing about it. But it's like, wow, man, this guy's so good. And it kind of is like, I really, you have to do everything you can to beat him. And so there are certain moments definitely that happen that you're just like, oh, how do you make this shot? Or how do you do that? Or something. You just enjoy the game. You still enjoy the game, even though you play and compete. You have to, I think it's a big part of it. I think once you lose that, it gets harder to play. So I'm still a fan while I play, and I enjoy seeing those big moments. And like tonight, one of the special things would be to share the court with all the best players in the world. I mean, I'm sure once I retire one day and look back at it and talk to my kids, I can tell them, hey, my first All-Star, I played with Dirk Nowitzki, I played with Dwayne Wade, I played with LeBron, I played with all those guys, and now I know it'll be the same thing. All the other great players in this league. I think now maybe you're not as aware of it because you're a competitor and you play against them, and you have a certain motivation to always beat them. But one day when I retire and I look back at all of that, for sure it'll be something that I'll cherish, and I can talk to my kids about, and it'll be something to be very proud of.
Okay, our last question goes to Josh Robbins, The Athletic.
Vooch, Dan in LA asked you a good question about last year this time. I'm curious what your specific memories are of that game in Memphis, the last game you all played before the shutdown, and whether you ever find yourself wishing that we were back to games like that.
Well, I mean, the honestly, that game, like I said, until the game stoppage happened, I think I don't think any of us really understood how serious this thing was going to become and what was going to happen. So, I mean, we played a game, we won. It was, we flew back. It was great, and we were supposed to play Chicago, I think, next. So I was just preparing for that until that day, until the stoppage happened, and it really wasn't until the stoppage. Until I saw it that I was like, oh, okay, this is serious. And I mean, of course, yeah. I mean, I wish every day that we could play the way we played, the game like it was in Memphis or any other game before that, where, it's just, normal world, regular world where there's no worry of, of a crazy virus going around and hurting people. And so, we're hopeful that, soon enough we'll be able to get back to that. Obviously, us for players, we enjoy because we can, have fans back in arenas, but most importantly, so people can live, a normal life, and people that have lost their jobs, they can, go back to work and don't have to worry about, their survival, and people don't have to worry about their health daily as much because of that. And you can actually interact with people and not be scared of when you see somebody that doesn't wear a mask. You look at him as he's a zombie or she's a zombie or whatever. So I think that no, but it's true. I mean, when you go somewhere, you see somebody not wearing a mask, you're like, oh, hold up, what doesn't she or he have a mask? What's going on? Or if somebody's too close to you, especially early on when this thing had just started, it was just so frightening. So I think that we all, as a world, ready, and hopefully we can get back to it. But I think that's why it's also important that we follow, health protocols, and we do what the experts say, and hopefully with the vaccination, things will also speed up a little bit.